Right, so I'm thinking I'm gonna walk you through some of the common tags that you find on the web. Now, these are not all of the tags that you'll find, but they are the most common ones, and I just want to touch on each one just a little bit so that you at least know what you're looking at, right? So here you have the head, and first tag we see is a link tag. This is an important one. So for the most part, you're going to see the structure rel equals style sheet href, and that points to a URL to some CSS file somewhere. This tag is the tag that's going to load a style sheet to your document. So this is very, very common. You can also sometimes see people use this style here where they put a style tag and put all of their, or well, not all of it, but some of their styles inside of the document like this. So these colors here are what you're seeing on this text down here. So that's a common pattern as well. But just to note, usually this is what you're gonna do. You can do this as well, of course. Right, so we have header tags. So these range from 1 to 5 or 6, I think, and these just the number just represents how like the semantics of how important this is. So an H1 tag would be the most important header you have, and then you have a few H2s and maybe a few H3. Usually people don't go down all the way to H4 and 5. I don't see that all that much. Next up is a link. And this, you put some content inside of the link, and then you put a URL, and if you click that, you go to that page or that resource. Pretty straightforward. Then we have a paragraph. That's also fairly common, which is basically a full line piece of text. And if we open this, we see that we have a section of text here, and then we have a BR tag. And so BRs represent line breaks or a break tag. And the thing is that the browser, if you put some text with a line break inside of your text, your browser won't actually understand how to parse that, so it will ignore line breaks. And in order for you to actually get a line break in a piece of text, you have to put a BR tag there. Then we have a strong tag and an EM tag. Those are, I'm not saying common, usually you use CSS to style stuff, but I see people still use these tags to like just get some text customization going. Then we have the the Grand Poobah, the heavyweight champion of tags, which is div, the divider tag. This is the most used, like the hands down most used element on the web. It's used for everything, and the idea behind it is that it's supposed to be something that divides off on some. As you can see, it spans the full width of the document, and this is perfect for like grouping things and acting as a container for other elements. So I sometimes feel that people overuse it maybe, but it is, you know, the the bread and butter element for the web. And after that is the span tag, which is very similar to the div tag. It's often used for containing other elements. So you can see here that the div tag spans the entire document while the span only wraps the content. And if we open this, we can see that the styling on these words and the colors, I actually wrap each word in a span, and that way I can actually express that, oh, I want that word to be this color and so forth. So that's very common, and I do this without breaking onto a new line. So the span is very nice for like doing styling on text or things like that when you don't want to break onto a new line in the document. Finally, we have a button, and buttons are different from links. So the rule of thumb is that a button, I mean, if you know enough about the web, you can make a button act pretty much the same way as a link, but for semantic purposes, sometimes you get into problems, and I would say that especially if you want to do things accessible or like screen readers and stuff like that, you know, you need to remember that, you know, there's a difference, and the rule of thumb I argue is that if you make something a link, then you're saying I want whoever clicks on this to go to a new page or a new resource or something like that. And if you use a button, you're saying that, hey, I want you to do something here in response to clicking on this, but I don't want the user to go somewhere. I don't want to send them away from the page. It's not a universal rule, but I think it's a good rule to follow. Okay, so finally we have the script tag, and the script tag has a source attribute that points at a JavaScript file for the most common case. And you can actually put JavaScript in the middle of these tags here and just write your scripts inline, but usually you want to load it from like a file or something like that. It becomes much easier to manage. So this is also an extremely common tag. And yeah, these are the most common tags, I would say.